Good morning. Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Paula Zahn.
And I'm Harry Smith. Good morning, everybody.
Just ahead in this hour, it is beautiful, spectacular, and deadly. We're going to see how to stay safe when lightning strikes.
Plus, the new book on Queen Elizabeth. Has her marriage been a troubled one, too?
And Sally Field on Oscar, acting, and Forrest Gump. It's all coming up on CBS This Morning.
Last week it was Prince Charles. I was in London last week, and what an uproar over the documentary. And he almost crashed his jet. And ay.
But the polls are showing that the public, by and large, supports the fact that he admitted he was an adulterer.
They said he can be king if he wants to. Queen Elizabeth this morning, though. That's the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right now we're going to go to Miami. Maria Gennaro standing by with the weather. Good morning.
Good morning, Paula. Good morning, Harry. They had a wet fourth and a wet fifth. We'll tell you what's going on in the southeast.
Now we're going to get you the latest news this morning. The hearings in the O.J. Simpson case resumes today with a ruling possible on that mysterious sealed envelope turned in by the defense on Friday. Sandra Hughes joins us from our L.A. bureau with the latest. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Paula. Well, the holiday weekend did not diminish interest in the O.J. Simpson case. In fact, just the opposite. This morning, attention is going to be focused on the courtroom where the mystery surrounding evidence, envelopes, and search warrants could be explained.
O.J. Simpson will be back in court today while prosecutors and defense attorneys argue over evidence. CBS News has learned that F. Lee Bailey, who was already advising the defense team, is expected to be in court today and may cross-examine witnesses. The defense will argue that 34 pieces of evidence seized from Simpson's home just after the murders was done so illegally. Police gained access to the Brentwood estate by jumping a fence.
The burden is on the people to show justification for the warrantless entry into the house. I think that you will see the district attorney's office justifying what the officers did and why they did it by placing those detectives on the witness stand.
Arguments over the evidence will delay the ongoing preliminary hearing. So far, only a handful of witnesses have testified in that hearing. 2 knife store employees who said O.J. Simpson bought a knife from them, and neighbors of Nicole Simpson, 2 who found her dead outside her condominium. The mystery, which has kept everyone talking over the 3-day holiday weekend, surrounds an envelope which the defense presented in court on Friday. It remains sealed. Some speculate it could contain a knife.
This whole case has the aura of a mystery novel. And here we have an enigma, the envelope, on top of the mystery.
The mystery has fueled a frenzy at O.J. Simpson's home, where a 3-day weekend brought out the curious in hordes.
We just wanted to see the house if we could.
Meantime, O.J. Simpson waits for his court appearance, visited only by a psychiatrist and an old football friend.
Now, the hearing on the motion to suppress evidence is going to take place first thing this morning. Paula?
All right, thanks so much. Sandra Hughes reporting from Los Angeles this morning. Of course, CBS News will carry today's O.J. Simpson hearing live. Coverage will begin at noon Eastern Time. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. In other news this morning, Yasser Arafat arrived in the West Bank town of Jericho today. And not long after that, Palestinians there got their first official government. Bob Simon is standing by in Jericho with more. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Paula. I'm trying to remember when history ever happened in such heat before. Jericho in July is brutal. The main events of the day seem to be over, and to give you an indication of just how unpredictable Arafat's schedule has been, the one thing everyone was sure of, everyone was told weeks ago that Arafat would be addressing the people of the West Bank from this balcony in the central square of Jericho. Well, this balcony and this square are probably among the few places that Arafat did not visit today.
A new provisional government for the new Palestinian entity became official today. Yasser Arafat took the oath as chief executive, then he swore in the other members who will function as a kind of cabinet, presiding over Jericho and Gaza until elections scheduled for the fall. Earlier, Arafat arrived in an Egyptian helicopter with an Israeli escort, but everything in Jericho was Palestinian. The man who has reviewed so many honor guards in so many foreign countries today was greeted by his very own. There was a real red carpet, there were bagpipers. Everything was orchestrated to underscore the symbolism of the event. Jericho may be a dusty desert town of 25,000, but it is the West Bank. It is Arafat's first foothold here. It is a half hour from Jerusalem. Israeli settlers tried to block the roads from Jerusalem, tried to prevent West Bankers from getting to see their leader. They succeeded only in creating a spectacle, which was, of course, the point of the exercise. Thousands braved the brutal July sun to hear Arafat. One woman crashed through the security cordon to kiss him. Others were overwhelmed by emotion. Arafat was tough on the Israelis in his speech. He attacked them for permitting the settlers to block the roads, saying it was a violation of the peace accord.
The Israeli government denied that allegation. In fact, in a rather caustic statement, it said that instead of looking for scapegoats, the Palestinians would do better to examine their own performance. Israel Radio just reported that Arafat will be returning by helicopter to Gaza and that he will overfly Tel Aviv. Now, a Tel Aviv bureau just told us that a lot of people living in Tel Aviv are on their roofs now, waiting for that helicopter. If it's anything like the other parts of Arafat's schedule, they may very well be disappointed. Paula?
All right, thanks so much. Bob Simon reporting from Jericho this morning. It is 6 minutes past the hour. Time to check back in with Maria Gennaro of WCIX-TV from Miami, who's filling in for Mark McEwen this morning. Good morning again.
Absolutely. Good morning, Paula. Well, we were telling you that they had a wet 4th and a wet 5th, and it looks like it'll be a wet 6th, too. We're talking about what's left of Alberto. Take a look. Some heavy downpours expected again today throughout Georgia and South Carolina. They could see 2 to 4 inches of rain, and, of course, now flash flooding could be a problem. Elsewhere throughout the U.S., they had a wet 4th, 5th, and looks like a 6th again throughout the Midwest. Some very, very strong thunderstorms. They're going to have to keep their eyes open again today. Could see some hail, some very dangerous lightning and damaging winds for that area once again. Gorgeous throughout most of the west, except throughout the northwest. Could see a few light showers there. That's a look at the national forecast now.
In other news this morning, federal investigators have recovered the black box from a U.S. airjet that crashed in North Carolina Saturday. Today, they will interview the pilot and co-pilot. But as Bob Orr reports, weather remains the main focus of the probe.
As cranes continue clearing the wreckage of U.S. Air Flight 1016, investigators are looking at wind shear as a possible cause of the crash. One of the surviving passengers, who's a military air traffic controller, said the jet seemed to be off course at a 45-degree angle to the runway when it broke through low storm clouds.
When you got a DC-9 that's bouncing all over there, you know you got pretty severe winds.
In fact, tower control tapes confirm the pilots were warned on approach of dangerous shifting winds. Just after 6:41 Saturday evening, a controller in the tower radioed, "Wind shear alert, northeast boundary." The pilot told the tower he was aborting his approach, saying U.S. Air 1016 on the go. Tower, U.S. Air 1016, understand you are on the go, sir. Pilot, up to 3,000, we're taking a right turn here. This was the last radio transmission. 11 seconds later, there are sounds of the crash, which killed 37 people and left many of the 20 injured, wondering why they survived.
It's awful strange that God drew the line where he drew it, because people behind me didn't make it. Most of them didn't.
It will take a few days to remove all of the wreckage and many months to pin down the cause of the accident. Important information will come from the 5 crew members, all of whom survived. Investigators will talk to the 2 pilots later today. Bob Orr, CBS News, Charlotte, North Carolina.
And in other news this morning, at the movie box office over the holiday weekend, Disney's new animated epic, The Lion King, roared loudest. That's no great surprise. The Lion King took in $34 million to top the list. Rounding out the top 5 were The Shadow, Speed, Blown Away, and Wolf, bringing in $8 million over the weekend. 9 minutes past the hour, let's go back to Maria Gennaro, who's standing by in Miami. Now, is that a slide behind you, or is that really Miami we're looking at?
Well, actually, you're looking at Key Biscayne.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't
it gorgeous?
Well, it actually looks like you got a lot of junk in the air there this morning, unless you need to clean your window.
Oh, a fog. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you correctly. No, we have a screen up because it is just so bright outside, it'll just wash it out. So we have to kind of tone it down a bit. But you're looking at, of course, Key Biscayne is gorgeous out there.
Yeah, really pretty.
Take a look at the weather for today, and, well, it doesn't look as though it's going to be quite as nice throughout the southeast and also throughout the Midwest. High temperatures for today heading up to about 82 degrees in New York City. Gorgeous throughout the northeast. More of that again today. That's a look at the national forecast. Now here's a look at your weather. In Buffalo today, afternoon thunderstorms expected, 86 degrees. Columbia, South Carolina, thunderstorms in 85. In Little Rock, Arkansas today, sunny, about 92. Madison, Wisconsin, afternoon thunderstorms in 87.
Topic A this morning, wildfires burning in 10 western states. In California alone, 2 major fires around Palm Desert and Lake Arrowhead have burned more than 30,000 acres. The Palm Desert fire was apparently touched off by lightning. It has now covered 19,000 acres, destroying 14 homes and forcing the evacuation of 500 more. Let's go live now to the Fire Communications Center and John Hatcher, the fire chief of the San Bernardino National Forest. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Harry.
Yeah, give me the update. What's your current condition on the Palm Desert fire?
Well, we're looking at the same information that you just gave. We've got about 20,000 acres, and we've got several thousand people out there, lots of fire engines, lots of crews, and a repeat in the weather conditions that we've had for the last few days, although we expect that it'll be somewhat moderated today.
So it has been pretty windy, and they're saying it's going to be pretty windy again?
That's true. We've had winds up to 40 and 50 miles an hour in the afternoons on the last 3 days.
Is it unusually dry this summer?
I wouldn't say that. It's the situation that we have currently, or most commonly in Southern California. We experience these weather conditions every year. A lot of it depends on how much rain we get in the winter and spring, and how the weather conditions go together in the summer when we're ready to go to work.
Right. What is the situation in terms of evacuation there in Palm Desert?
Well, we've had several small communities that were impacted by these fires, and the local sheriff and the highway patrol have worked with us together to accommodate those folks and get them out of there in a safe manner.
And can you tell us anything about the Lake Arrowhead fire? Because that was going pretty good yesterday. It looked like they were getting a little bit of control on.
That's right. It was also a lightning-caused fire, and the wind, it got up into the wind, and it moved about 10,000 acres, and we will put the suppression forces on it and get the flanks contained, and then we'll have crews in there to mop up the fire when we get it to the point where we can do that.
What kind of temperatures are you talking about? The desert areas in the Southwest have had unbelievable heat over the last couple of weeks. How are your folks holding up in this summer weather?
Well, on the desert floor, it's been about 115 degrees, but it's been down to around 90 where we're fighting fire, and down in probably the 60s at night. So we hope that we can get enough water and breaks for those guys so that we can give them all the rest they need to be effective when they're fighting fire.
It is a little bit early yet. You're not running into manpower problems yet, or are you?
Well, it's a question of how fast we can mobilize people, and we do have real access problems there. We're probably 150 miles from the Los Angeles airport and about 60 miles from the Ontario airport. So getting those people out to the fire line and then building the accommodations out there so that we can take care of them for the entire period that they're there presents logistical problems, but it's something that we deal with regularly.
Now, these are lightning-caused fires. So often these fires end up popping up because of brush burning or because of people being careless with their own personal fires. Have fire use been restricted in the Forest Service areas in your part of the world?
What we do is try to caution people about and to respect the use of fire. We don't try to eliminate every use of fire, but we caution people that this is the time of year when fire can get away from us. So it's something that we have to live with in this area.
All right, you've got an awful busy next couple of days. I hope the weather turns in your favor.
Well, Harry, let me stress one thing, and that is that none of us could do it alone. It's a very, very strong cooperative effort with all of the fire agencies in Southern California. It's not just the Forest Service, it's lots of others who, when something like this happens, we work together in an extremely well-organized manner to be as effective in doing this job as we can.
John, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I know you're very busy. Do appreciate it, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Paula?
It's almost 15 minutes past the hour. Thanks, Harry. Coming up next, Her Royal Majesty and her less than royal marriage. Is it really good to be the queen? And tomorrow on CBS This Morning, complete coverage of the latest developments in the O.J. Simpson case. Plus, Hattie Kaufman finds out what it takes to get the good housekeeping seal. And Dr. Howard Torman tells you what steps to take for foot pain.
Guess who's home from prison?
Mom? Hey, you busted out.
No, I did not bust out. Why is yours?
Somewhere between doing time and doing dishes, Stephanie Hodge is muddling through.
You are not ready for marriage to anyone. You're only 18 years old.
You're only 35.
So
that means you were only 17 when you got pregnant with me.
But I wasn't married.
Muddling Through premieres Saturday on CBS.
Look who just got paroled from prison.
You're going to be better than me, Christopher. I can see it in your eyes. No wasting your life on something you hate. Not for my son. You're going to college. I can see it in your eyes.
I can see it in your eyes. You are going to do something important.
Christopher, time for work.
We've always had the dreams. Now we have the means. Please, support the United Negro College Fund.
Our planet's rainforests are burning. 96,000 acres are burned every day. Less rainforest means less rain and an even greater threat from global warming. That's why this destruction must stop now. Right now, you can join the National Arbor Day Foundation and support rainforest rescue to help stop the destruction. In the few seconds I've been talking, a forest the size of 5 city blocks went up in smoke. You'd better call now.
There are negative repercussions to bankruptcy, all right. I couldn't get a credit card, and it was hard to even establish a checking account.
I had considered bankruptcy. It sounded tempting. People told me that it was really the way to go, and that you can turn around and get your credit back. That's not true.
The difference that I see between consumer credit counseling and going through bankruptcy proceedings is that CCCS pays. Bankruptcy did nothing but cost.
Adultery, passion, jealousy, mental cruelty. Not words you'd normally associate with Her Royal Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, but they all fit, or so it says in the new book, Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who is not amused. Nicholas Davies is the author, and he's here with us this morning. Welcome back to our broadcast. Nice to see you again.
Good morning to you again.
So a lot of people looking at this woman's life from the outside are saying, what is there not to be amused about? You're the wealthiest woman in the world. You have 4 healthy children. What is it that we don't see in the pictures?
What you don't see is a woman who is not very happy, who is angry at the way her family has disintegrated. Now we have Charles, probably on the way to divorce from Diana. We have Andrew, probably on the way to divorce. We have Anne, who actually has divorced. And we have Edward, who may be getting involved with a girl for the first time. I mean, it's chaos.
So doesn't she bear some responsibility for her family, or is she blaming it on everybody else around her?
She's blaming it on everyone else, I'm afraid. She does believe that she is, and has been brought up to believe, that she's the most important person in the world, and that motherhood was too important. It was not important enough for her. The royal family was not that important. The monarchy was. She was told by her father, King George VI, what you must do is preserve the House of Windsor. That is what she's tried to do.
You say some pretty explosive stuff in this book. You talk about Prince Philip's affairs,
yes.
And you actually name the women he had affairs with, and you maintain that this probably is a book that should not have been published for 20 years. In fact, in Britain, they're not selling this book. They're not going to publish it over there, right?
That's right. They're not publishing it because they fear, really, the publishers fear, that it may be a book too far. So what they have decided to do is forget it, or try to turn their back on it. But already the newspapers are printing parts of what's in this book. So
what is it about the relationship between Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth that is so explosive?
Well, that he went off the rails from the very beginning. Her father did not want Philip to marry Elizabeth. He had a great inquiry into him, and it was a very bad report that came out. He was a wild young man, and he never stopped. More than that, he has in many ways been quite cruel to her. I mean, he didn't used to beat her up or anything like that, but verbally he certainly did. I mean, I've heard him shouting and swearing at her, you know, which is not exactly the sort of thing that one expects. From
Where did you hear
monarch's
that?
son. Well, when they're out together. They're in fact on a royal tour, and she was staying behind, as she always does correctly, to say goodbye to everyone, and he just turned around to her and said, "Get in the bloody car, can't you?"
Now, you also go on to talk about the comfort of two men that Queen Elizabeth has enjoyed along the way. Patrick Plunkett, who was he?
Lord Patrick Plunkett. I'm not saying at all, by the way, that she had affairs with either of these two men, but she was very close to them, and she needed these two men. Patrick Plunkett was the most delightful Anglo-Irish chap who never married, a perfect courtier, great fun to be with, sympathetic, warm personality. And the Queen got very close to him indeed.
And there was another man you mentioned, Harry Porchester.
Yes, Lord Harry Porchester is in fact her racing manager, and they became friends through horse racing, which is one of her great passions. The other are dogs, of which I think at the moment she's got 8, but sometimes she has 13 running around the palace.
She seems to have more passion for the dogs than she did for her own kids and other things in her life.
Yes, and
that most people would think should be dear to her.
Yeah, and Princess Anne says that. I mean, the world stops when it's tea time for the dogs. The world stops, and she feeds the dogs. A red carpet is laid down, and 13 separate bowls are put on by a man all dressed correctly as a footman is, and she then dishes them out, and each dog is allowed.
The portrait you paint is really quite pathetic. I mean, this woman sounds very lonely.
She is very lonely.
And it sounds like the only sort of emotional comfort she gets is from her dogs, because she's certainly not getting it from her husband, according to your book, or her children.
No, I mean, Philip now, who's in his 70s, has become a crusty old man. But I mean, they don't see very much of each other. I mean, they do. It appears they see each other because you see them on film together and attending functions and official functions together. But after that, I mean, they never hardly speak.
We have seen rumors of some of the things you talk about in this book in newspapers from Britain for years. And people are saying, oh, there they go again, trashing the royal family. How did you get this information?
I got the information primarily from senior members of royal households, not just Buckingham Palace, but other households. And I was very kindly passed from one to the other, and they said, you can talk to this man in confidence. He won't let us down. And the reason they talked to me at this time is because they believe the monarchy has to change, because they believe if it doesn't change, the British people won't put up with it for very much longer.
I'll be surprised if they have jobs much longer. Nicholas Davies, thanks so much. The name of the book, Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who is not amused. Nice to see you again. Harry?
23 minutes after the hour, Sally Field takes us into the special world of Forrest Gump in the next half hour.
The facts. You can't get AIDS from a toilet seat.
You don't get AIDS from mosquitoes.
We get it from each other.
The estimated number of Americans
infected with HIV,
the virus that causes AIDS,
is equal to the population of
Atlanta, Cincinnati,
and Oakland
combined. This deadly disease affects us all.
We need to band together in this fight. Please learn about the HIV test from your local AIDS agency.
Break the silence.
For more information, 1-800-342-AIDS.
He is so perfect.
Yeah, maybe a little too perfect.
She watched her sister marry the wrong man.
Ken?
Where is she?
Don't worry. Everything's gonna be okay.
Now she must risk everything
We did something.
to prove he's the killer.
You can't win this thing. You can't keep my son from me.
And save her sister's child from his own father.
Andrew!
Valerie Bertinelli, Michael Ontkean.
No, where are they going? That is my sister's baby!
In A Child's Name, starting Sunday.
That's what I did. I sat my son down, explained it to him, simple, uncomplicated.
At first, I didn't know what he was talking about.
I just took authority, you know what I'm saying?
And he was nervous and sweaty. I was thinking, what's this all about?
You know, if they got questions, you just answer them. Well, look,
If you need help talking to your kids about drugs, call for this free book.
We have always felt in harmony with the land.
Chakome, tapiwa, the skumok, ta tapiachu, kenok honestje, Matapiwa, Makaspumos, Akum.
Help the Soil Conservation Service help our Earth. Call us today. We owe it to our children.
At 25 minutes after the hour, Harry and I are back with Nicholas Davies, who's agreed to stay on for a couple extra minutes. This book is really explosive, Harry. You cannot believe some of the stuff this man says. What's going to get you in the most trouble?
I'd have thought revealing that Philip's had a 15 to 20-year affair with Elizabeth's cousin.
Can you imagine
Princess
that? Under her nose. I mean, she knows this is going on, right?
She knows it's going on. She's known it's been going on for a long time. And that's what really broke her heart. That's what broke the marriage. Princess Alexandra also, who's not very well known over here, she's probably the most liked royal of all. She's a very sympathetic, warm personality.
And this is the woman with whom Philip has apparently been having this liaison?
Correct, for 15 years. It is the British people...
Stays with him a while, though.
Yeah, the British people would be absolutely staggered by this news.
What must it be like in these royal households? Because these communities are really relatively small.
Oh, close.
Each household has their own help and their own sort of courtiers and whatnot, as you suggest. If anything is going on, surely people must run to their bosses, to their respective prince or queen or whomever,
correct,
and say,
exactly what happens. Exactly. They all know in the inner circle what's been going on.
Yeah.
But of course, no one has spoken before. It's been kept, the lid's been kept on all this.
Yeah.
In the same way as until my book on Diana came out, the lid was on the fact that Charles and Diana were basically living separate lives and that he was having an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Yeah. He's now, 6 years later, admitted it.
Yeah.
It seems odd to me, though, that these people are talking to you on record who say they want to save the monarchy and they're going public with this stuff. I got to think it's going to have the entirely opposite reaction.
But they feel that the monarchy's got to change. I mean, do you realise that today, when someone goes in to help, for example, dress the Queen or put some flowers in, that she has to walk out of the room backwards, bowing all the way?
Well, we make people do that around here.
I did it when I leave tonight.
Yeah, exactly. It is interesting. I was over there this past week to watch some tennis. And just to not be working and to meet folks and look at all the local papers and everything, there really is a tremendous kind of resentment among a lot of regular folks toward the royals, and especially these days it seems toward Diana.
There has been a sea change towards Diana. Everyone, for a while, late 80s, beginning of 90s, had all the sympathy. They thought Charles was the villain of the piece. Mm-hmm. It now is transpiring that, in fact, perhaps this young lady was throwing a few wobblies, to say the least, if not putting up tremendous problems. And Charles just had too much of it. I mean, he just couldn't hack it anymore.
And part of it is whose public relations campaign is doing the best job at a given moment, right?
Absolute nonsense.
You were in Britain when the BBC documentary aired?
It was independent, what was it, Channel 3 or Channel 4?
Yes, it was, yeah, Channel 3.
Where he admitted...
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
When his marriage started to break down, that's when he got off.
He said after it was done, after it was not reconcilable anymore or whatever, that is when he was no longer faithful.
Can you believe the public reaction in Britain? All the polls would indicate people think that, hey, 85% of us say he should be king. Doesn't matter?
Absolutely.
Did you expect that?
No, they didn't. No. And what happened is that the popular press, before it came out...
In 5 seconds.
Popular press, before it came out, were hitting Charles very hard. The public turned around afterwards and said, he's great. You've got it wrong, newspapers. We like him.
Good to see you again.
This is CBS.
Welcome back to CBS This Morning. I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Paula Zahn. We're back together again for the first time in a week or so.
Yeah,
We almost did that in unison this morning.
Why not?
So happy to be here.
Indeed.
Together.
Who's really raising your kids? Just ahead, we're going to meet the author of a new book on motherhood who says you don't need to read all those other books about motherhood. And nature in all her splendor and terror, we're going to show you how to stay safe when lightning comes storming into your neighborhood.
Plus, Sally Field, she's come a long way from a teen queen named Gidget to winning 2 Oscars and now playing Tom Hanks' mom in Forrest Gump. We're going to hear from her just ahead.
All righty, time now for this morning's headlines. O.J. Simpson is back in court today after the holiday weekend break. The judge is expected to rule on whether evidence police seized from his home without a warrant can be used. PLO Chief Yasser Arafat arrived today in Jericho on the West Bank. He vowed to expand the Palestinian self-rule zone beyond the town's borders. He also swore in an interim government. And the U.S. is beefing up its forces off Haiti, adding a 4-ship Navy assault group carrying 2,000 Marines. 9 U.S. warships are already there, enforcing sanctions against the military dictatorship. Just about 28 minutes before the hour on this Back to Work Tuesday morning. The weather now from Maria Gennaro. Good morning again.
Good morning, Harry. But first of all, this weather report is sponsored by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, here is a lot of rain, and it's just going to remain for a while, especially throughout the southeast and also throughout the northern plains and the Midwest. Really no change. The jet stream's not going anywhere, and so therefore these storms aren't going anywhere. They're going to have to contend with more in the way of the wet stuff. Gorgeous throughout the northeast. Hey, not quite as hot throughout Texas. That's pretty good. They'll be down into about the 90s for today. And a few light showers expected up throughout the northwest. The southwest, absolutely picture perfect. Now, take a look at what happens tomorrow. Really, no change. The only slight change we see here is we could see a few showers up throughout New England. That is about it. Still plenty of rain down throughout the southeast. Alberto, as I said, is just pumping a lot of tropical moisture. 2 to 4 inches of rain yesterday, today, and once again tomorrow, so flash flooding could be a problem. They're going to have to keep their eyes on that. And also more rain throughout the northern plains and Midwest. Can't catch a break. Back to you, Paula.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Special toys, classes, experts, they're all available to help parents raise their kids. But do we use them too much and deprive ourselves of the joy of really knowing and growing with our children? The new book, Mothering Heights, hopes to solve some of the mystery of being a parent. Author Sonia Tates is here with the latest parenting advice you'll ever need. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Hi, Paula. I'm fine.
So in this book, you sort of suggest that maybe we should throw out all those books we've collected on motherhood. Why should we buy yours and add to that collection? It's collecting dust at the moment.
Not just the books, but the parenting toys, the child development products, the 5005 self-adhesive red dots to teach baby to count, the Pregaphone to talk it to the womb, the baby massage books. I think that in a sense it's good to have some, and my theory is you've got to have at least as many as the height of your child, but ultimately have the confidence to throw them to the side and just cuddle the kid.
Yeah, because I mean, some of these new toys, I know it's been 5 years since I've had a baby. I have a new one in the house. They have these, they give you these rattles with 7-point instruction booklet on how to use this rattle and shake it in front of your baby's eyes to stimulate him.
Come on. Rattles are key because if you have no stimulation, you'll have no brain, essentially. The books come with, the rattles you're talking about come with pamphlets that teach you how to play. It's very Dickensian. First it tells you to shake the rattle in front of the baby and then, make a noise to the right ear and then the left, as though you wouldn't know otherwise. And when you're consulting the book, the baby's crawling away or, in disinterest or falling asleep. I think essentially parents are nervous that they're not doing it well enough or being good enough.
Well, particularly with the first child, because I know the first time around I was much more nervous. I know that the second time around is much easier because you have confidence of having been through it with your first. The first one survived and they seem to be okay. And that also happened to you,
It happened to me. I now have 3, so I'm utterly cocky. I feel in a sense that I almost never need to go to a parenting seminar or consult a child development expert. I think that early on you undergo something like Stockholm Syndrome, in which you are sleep deprived and you're under a sort of a house arrest, and then you're awakened at night by these piercing screams. It's sort of like the cellmate next door.
Oh, I remember those days.
And so when you finally do come to, you're very willing to accept and swallow the so-called helpful advice of anyone, even though some of the advice givers and opinion makers may be for a profit or may have their own agenda.
But you really think it hurts parents to read these things? 'Cause I've read a lot of that stuff along the way. Not so much anymore.
It doesn't hurt. I think in a way it's even fun and it's addictive. What could hurt is if you become so immersed in the books that you lose sight of the individuality of the child. You know, there are many theories that don't apply to each child. So what I often do is remember the thing I read, and I've read a lot and heard a lot, that applies to the child that helps me to parent them better. You know, like it's sort of under the it's okay syndrome. It's okay to have a pacifier when you're 1 year old, or it's okay to space your children closer than 3 years. You know, it's okay to XYZ, as long as you can use the experts to reassure yourself and kind of, again, turn to the child and just be at ease with them.
That makes a lot of sense, because you can get into a vicious trap if you expect child number 2 to be exactly like child number 1.
Well, that's the first thing I think that disabuses people of experts, you know, omnipotence, because as soon as you see your 2 kids being so different, you realize that no theory can possibly hold, and that in fact people are so magically different and individual that no book can cover it, and it becomes closer to a love affair than to parenting. You know, the magic is there, and it's something that you don't want to have intruded on too much.
Well, the book is smart and a fun read. Sonia Tate, good luck with those 3 little ones.
Thank you very much.
You're getting pretty close together. You're a busy mom and worker.
Yes.
Thanks again. Harry?
24 minutes before the hour. Coming up next, lightning. We'll show you how to stay safe in the storm.
Mark and Rennie and little Lindsay are a young family just starting out. They don't have a lot of money for life insurance. I'm their State Farm agent, Gaylord Mooseman. Instead of giving Mark and Rennie a big life insurance sales talk, I did a lot of listening. And we came up with a plan that's going to work for their budget and little Lindsay's future, too. State Farm agents are good listeners because we want you to have life insurance you can live with.
State Farm sells life insurance.
Your credit line has nothing to do with your value as a person, okay? Sure, Gold MasterCard has a credit line of at least $5,000, but that doesn't make you a better person. Well, I don't know. Maybe it does. I mean, if knowing that no Gold card is more accepted on the planet lets you relax and just have fun, then yeah, I suppose it could have some effect. And you can use your Gold MasterCard at cash machines all over the world, so you can get money in drachmas or lire or seashells, so you can tip generously. Which any waiter will tell you is the true measure of how good a person you are. Gold MasterCard. It's more than a gold card. It's smart money.
Oh, Mr. Reach, we're about to change your toothbrush. Don't worry, Reach is now better than ever. With an easy-to-grip handle and a tapered head that's packed with more bristles. You see? Of course, it still has a unique angled neck to clean even those hard-to-reach back teeth. We'd never change that. The new Reach toothbrush, cleaning brilliantly by design. Reach, better than ever from Johnson & Johnson.
Love, comfort, nutrition. Today, she trusts you for everything, and your breast milk gives her everything she needs. But if someday her needs change, there's always someone you can trust. Gerber, for a gentle formula patterned after breast milk. For a soy formula for milk-free feeding. For the right formula for your baby. Gerber baby formulas. If it doesn't come from you, shouldn't it come from Gerber?
This morning.
21 minutes before the hour, summertime is prime time for thunderstorms and the awesome but dangerous lightning they produce. Every year, more than 75 people are killed by it. Hundreds more are injured. How can you be safe when the thunder rumbles and the lightning flashes? We're going to find out from meteorologist Ron Holly at the National Severe Storms Laboratory in Norman, Oklahoma. Good morning, sir.
Morning. How are you?
Very well. We are just into this summer, and I just want to look back to the month of June alone. 10 people killed in lightning strikes in New York City, Virginia, Oklahoma. A couple of these times, there were multiple people killed by one lightning strike. How unusual is that?
Well, it's not unusual to have quite a few people victims of lightning during June, July, and August. It's probably 2/3 of the annual total. What was unusual is we had several multiple death cases, and those usually make more attention, bring more attention, and also
They all occurred during recreation, which is, I think, a trend that we have going. Normally, you only have one person at a time that's a victim, and so we don't hear about it as much. We can be sure that there were more than just these 10 people, but we don't really have the reporting system in place.
Mm-hmm. The people were out swimming, they were golfing, they were involved in recreational activities. This is a little off the charts, but how much power is in a single lightning strike? Is there a way to measure that sort of stuff? Do we know?
Well, there's a few numbers here. It's some pretty nasty numbers. One of them is it's 50,000 degrees and 10 million megawatts and 50,000 amps. Any of those things will cause a major problem with anything that it strikes. So it's a very significant event.
I wonder if people knew those numbers, if they wouldn't do a better job of just going inside and staying away from it, if they knew just how much power came with a lightning strike.
Well, I think some of the stories we hear about what happens to things, it's amazing that anyone survives, but a lot of people do. However, a lot of people don't either.
Yeah. You've got a way of recording lightning strikes now. You've got the computer set up behind us. Show us what you have up on the screen there.
All right. This is the last 3 hours worth of lightning. It's running quite active last night and this morning. There's 31,000 flashes across the across the whole country, but most of it across the upper Great Lakes right now. The way it's set up right now is white is the last 30 minutes and then blue up to the last 2 hours, and there's a dark gray here up to 3 hours. We can see it moving in this direction. During the summer, we have storms like this during the afternoon, evening, and then during the nighttime every night, and I can change it here just briefly and go back to the whole country, and we can see that most of the activity is in the northern part, but there are some other scattered areas around the rest of the country.
Wow.
This is detected by a network of about 100 antennas across the country.
Let's talk about staying safe out there. We've got about 45 seconds. If you're in a thunderstorm, you hear the rumbles in your neighborhood, what should you do if you're afraid that you really may be in danger of being struck by lightning?
Well, two things. One is use flash to bang. Flash, you see the lightning, and bang, you hear the thunder. It's 5 seconds per mile. Anything more than within a few miles, 3 to 5 miles, you must take all shelter immediately. And the thing to do is to avoid being the highest object, or don't be connected to the highest object. That means stay away from trees. Don't be the only thing out in the open. Don't be connected to power lines and everything else coming into your house, and just go inside a sturdy building.
There you go. Ron, thank you so much. Very interesting this morning. Do appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
Righto. 17 before the hour. We'll be right back.
Some people say eating right means settling for less flavor. I say baloney. Well, like Healthy Choice cold cuts. We love them. Sure, they have less fat and salt, but I think that lets more flavor come through. The seasonings they use in the bologna, the honey and the honey ham, it's delicious. Takes the ham and dips it in the mustard and eats it. It's gonna get eaten. It's not just gonna sit in my refrigerator. With Healthy Choice, we get the great taste, we get the nutrition, we get it all.
Acura's slogan says some things are worth the price. So we tested the $14,000 Nissan Altima XE against the $39,000 Legend LS. And the Altima out-cornered it, out-slalomed it, and out-accelerated it. It also beat it in wet and dry evasive maneuvering tests. So while some things are worth the price, evidently the Altima is worth far more than the price.
What makes Sunsweet Orange and Lemon Essence Pitted Prunes so irresistible?
Zesty, tangy.
I can smell the citrus in it. I would never thought of an orange and a prune. I'd like to know how you guys did that.
How did they do that?
Why not?
Now that he switched to Fix-It, he can go from morning till night and still eat like that.
Even in the hottest liquids, when other adhesives stop holding, Fix-It holds stronger and longer. For the strongest, longest hold, Fix-It and forget it.
With my sensitive skin, just taking a shower is double jeopardy. Not only is it irritating, it's washing away my skin's moisture. But this Oil of Olay Sensitive Skin Bath Bar definitely gets the message. Hypoallergenic, light Olay moisture, and so different from soap. It actually helps hold moisture in. My skin feels so soft, so young.
I could take a zillion showers without batting an eyelash.
Hold on to young skin. Oil of Olay Bath Bar for sensitive skin. And the price? Very nice.
"15 minutes until the hour. Here is more of this morning's news. The two largest cities in Rwanda have now fallen to rebel forces, but French troops in the Central African nation are preparing to halt any further rebel advance. Cheryl Atkinson reports on the growing French role in the Rwandan Civil War.
The battle for Kigali was intense, but in the end, the rebels virtually walked into the capital. They have the definitive upper hand in the 3-month-old civil war that has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Frantic Rwandans packed and left the government stronghold of Butare as rebel forces took control there as well. With the capture of Kigali and Butare, rebels now control more than 2/3 of the country. French troops were ordered yesterday to stop the rebel advance so that a safe haven for refugees could be established in the west. That confirmed the rebel suspicions that the French are there to help the government forces, despite a pledge of neutrality. But the French deny taking sides.
We are neutral, and we intend to stay neutral, and there is no intention to change.
The French have flown in reinforcements to a key town near the front line. No matter how much they hope to keep Operation Turquoise strictly humanitarian, if rebels continue their westward push into the safe zone, it has the potential to draw the French into an all-out military clash. Cheryl Atkinson, CBS News, London.
They are cleaning up this morning in southern Mexico after an earthquake that killed 2 people. The quake was centered nearly 325 miles southeast of Mexico City off the Pacific coast. The 2 victims were masons repairing a stone wall that collapsed on them. The quake measured a strong 6 on the Richter scale, but damage was relatively light. In eastern Spain, they're battling some of the worst wildfires of this century. At least 8 people have been killed, including 5 firefighters. Dry conditions, high winds, and intense heat are making it difficult for crews to bring the fires under control. John Bobbitt has been charged for a second time with hitting his fiancée, Christina Elliott. Bobbitt, Elliott, and a friend were all charged with domestic battery in Las Vegas after the 3 got into a fight over the weekend. Bobbitt also faces charges of assaulting Elliott last May. On a completely different note, the skies over central Michigan were filled with a rainbow of balloons. The annual Battle Creek Hot Air Balloon Festival drew enthusiasts from all over the country. All weekend long, the pilots flew and participated in competitions, but mostly they did what hot air balloons do best, going just where the breezes blow them. And next we take you to a 4th of July event that is anything but lighter than air. It is the Coney Island hot dog eating contest in New York. These frank fanatics had 12 minutes to see how many dogs they could put away. And last year's champ, Mike DeVito, successfully defended his title, 20 dogs in 12 minutes. He walked or waddles away with the trophy and a year's supply of hot dogs. Finally, we've seen lots of examples of how seriously some soccer fans take the World Cup. Here is another one. An Albanian who was convinced Argentina would beat Bulgaria, but who was short of cash, bet his wife on the game. Argentina lost, and the unidentified gambler's spouse promptly departed with the winner. There you go. That's the news from the World Cup today. It's 11 minutes until the hour. Maria Gennaro of WCIX-TV is in Miami with a look at our weather today. Good morning.
Whatever. Good morning, Harry. Well, today's forecast is looking pretty good throughout most of the nation. However, boy, there's a couple of tough spots, and they're just not going to get better anytime soon. What we're talking about is the northern plains and also into the Midwest and also throughout the southeast. A lot of moisture there and more again today, and it looks like tomorrow too. Most of the northeast looks pretty good except the extreme western sections of New York and also Pennsylvania. Later on this afternoon, they'll see some thunderstorms. Gorgeous throughout most of the southwest and a few light showers up throughout the northwest. Now, here's what happens tomorrow. We're looking for a little bit more rain to move into New England, more rain throughout the southeast and also throughout the Midwest. That's a look at the national weather. Here's a look at your forecast. In Sacramento today, sunny and 92 degrees. In Columbia, Missouri today, sunny and 92. Minneapolis, thunderstorms 88. And Mobile, Alabama, sunny today, about 90 degrees.
Do your feet hurt? Then be here tomorrow when Dr. Howard Torman tells you what steps to take to ease the pain.
It is 10 minutes before the hour. Oscar winner Sally Field is back on screen in the warm-hearted drama Forrest Gump. Even though she's only a couple of years older than Tom Hanks, she had no problem playing his adoring mother.
I happen to believe you make your own destiny. You have to do the best with what God gave you.
What's my destiny, Mom?
You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. Life is a box of chocolates, Forrest. You never know what you're gonna get.
Sally Field was in town recently, and she stopped by to talk with Mark McEwen.
Good morning, Sally. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
I love this movie.
I know,
it's
so do I.
It's a special movie.
It's so good.
Let's talk about your character, Mama Gump.
Mama Gump.
She's got a son who has a below average IQ. He has a crooked spine. Yet she doesn't see these things as a defeat for her son.
No, she doesn't see it like that. She just adores him. She loves him. He delights her. And the movie is about so many things. There's so many things to think about. But I think a thread in it is that with her love, he gets the gifts that he needs to carry on with his life. God didn't give him many gifts, so the gifts that he gets comes from Mama. Whereas the Robin Wright character, who's born with many gifts from God, she's beautiful and she's intelligent, but because she's not loved and she's damaged, she can find no use for all those gifts.
I know what I liked about the movie. As a person who was in the middle of this hurricane, in the middle of this storm, what did you like about it?
Oh, gosh. It makes you think, it makes you feel, it makes you laugh, but you really, I go away with this overwhelming appreciation for film and what it can do, and I think primarily because of Robert Zemeckis' work, the director. It's an extraordinary combination of special effects and heart and character. And I think that combined with the breathtaking work of Mr. Tom Hanks, you are floating out of there. It's so rare that you get to see really the power of what film can do.
Last time we saw you with Tom Hanks, you were contemporaries, Punchline. You played comedians about the same age. Now you play his mom.
Yeah.
Was that tough dealing with that, the fact that you're playing Tom Hanks' mother?
No, it was great fun. It was really great fun. I played Tom's mother at a very young age when he's 9, and then I grow old, which was a blast. I mean, he's still calling me Mama, which he's got to stop now because now it's a little odd. But I'm an actor, so I love doing it.
Let's talk a little history here. You say you're an actor before Oscars and after the Oscars. Do you see a difference in how you handled your craft on the screen when you see your work before and after getting those 2 Oscars?
No. And I think if you ask Tom the same thing. I mean, Oscars are wonderful. They make you feel happy for that moment, and you feel you've achieved something, and you feel very, very proud, but your work doesn't improve because you get an Oscar. Your work improves because you study, or you keep doing it and pushing yourself and trying new things, and you hopefully keep getting better. But Oscars have nothing to do with achieving that.
You know, also, Sally, every role I've seen you in, I like you. I laughed. Celeste in Soap Dish was just a hoot. You're known as being a very nice person. Would you ever play a bad guy, an awful villain, a murderer, just a gun-toting kind of woman?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I think my character, Mrs. Doubtfire, wasn't exactly perfect. I mean, if there was a villain in that, it was me. But we felt it was important that she be believable, that there be 2 sides to this fight that was going on, which I think is true in every divorce, that there takes 2 to tango, so both people are responsible for it. But she wasn't perfect. But yeah, I'd like to be the Tommy Lee Jones. I wonder if I could do that. Well, could do my version of Tommy Lee Jones.
Well, Sally, you're wonderful in Forrest Gump, a lovely, wonderful movie. Thanks for coming in with us.
Absolutely,
thank
you.
Go see this.
Absolutely, go see it. Take your friends, go see it again and again.
Thanks, Sally.
Sure.
We'll be back.
So if I call my friend Susan the most, they pay half?
Sprint announces yet another reason to switch to the most.
Because sometimes I call her for absolutely no reason and we talk for hours about nothing at all.
Talk all you want. Sprint will split the bill on the person you call most.
Wow, now we can talk even longer about nothing.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
Call now and save 50% with Sprint's calling plan, The Most.
Dear Midas, my daughter and I were in Savannah, and the cobblestones were more than our muffler could take. At Midas, your mechanic...
Hi, I'm Jack Willis.
...gave us a free inspection, allowed us a first...
Look at this.
...to look at what was wrong, and did a better than good job. It was a good feeling to have a guarantee following us back to Indiana.
And it was nice to feel we had not been taken.
Sincerely,
Annie and Nicole Weiland.
Please pass the all fruit.
Pass the Polaner all fruit.
Pass the Polaner all fruit.
Would you please pass the jelly?
Polaner all fruit is real fruit, sweetened only with fruit juice. You'll call it delicious, you'll call it remarkable, but please don't dare call it jelly. Polaner all fruit, the spreadable fruit.
Early one morning, we surprised another millionaire.
If you put $1 million.
I won Publishers Clearinghouse. They're here, the prize patrol. Hurry up over.
You deserve it.
oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
It was a day no one there will ever forget. We're the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol, and we're looking forward to seeing you next month.
On CBS This Morning, here's a look at your weather. Today should be another fine one for most of the Northeast. However, western regions can expect thunderstorms by afternoon. Meanwhile, things are getting quite soggy over parts of the Southeast, and it's only going to get worse. Another 2 to 4 inches of rain is expected across Georgia and South Carolina today, and also possibly for tomorrow. The upper Midwest will see another day just like yesterday as more bands of powerful storms should move through the area. Elsewhere, the Southwest will have seasonable temperatures along with sunshine. The Northwest will be rather cool with gray skies and a few showers possible today.
Get all the latest details of today's O.J. Simpson hearing tonight on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung. Tomorrow on CBS This Morning, we're going to take a critical look at the lawyers in the case, prosecution and defense.
And Hattie Kaufman will be along to find out what it takes to earn the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. We certainly won't get it in our households, will we? Not with our Bam Bams throwing food everywhere now.
Not these days. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Experience CBS News.
There's nothing like a backstabbing, two-timing, double-crossing, dirty dealing, daytime drama to make you feel good, really good, all over. Guiding Light. This summer, it's our little secret.
The evidence against O.J. Simpson. With no one to bear witness against him, his guilt or innocence may be determined by the evidence. Now the forensic experts are at work. Will science be able to decipher the clues and reveal who killed Nicole Simpson? Hard Evidence. 48 Hours, Wednesday.
This is CBS.